it is 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have Djibouti and the IFC of the World Bank united for the development of the private sector. For the international scene, the country's gross domestic product will contract by more than 18%. Welcome to our newsroom. Marrakesh was recently the scene of crucial discussions at the annual meeting of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. On the sidelines of this summit, a high-level delegation from the Djibouti, led by Ilyas Moussa Dawale, Minister of Economy and Finance, in charge of industry, accompanied by the Minister of Budget, Ismail Ibrahim Roble, met a delegation from the Arab Fund for Economic and Social Development, FADES, headed by Mr. Badr Al-Saad, chairman of the board of directors and managing directors of the fund. The aim of the meeting was to strengthen and consolidate the partnership between the Republic of Djibouti and FADES. It should be recalled that since September 2020, FADES has been a major strategic partner in Djibouti's development, providing significant support to the government's effort to implement its development policy, focusing on key areas such as energy, urban planning, and education. The discussions were marked by gratitude on the part of the Djibouti delegations to FADES for its ongoing commitment to Djibouti's development. This partnership has helped stimulate economic growth and improve the country's essential infrastructure. For his part, the Minister of Budget, Ismail Ibrahim Roble, thanked FADES and reaffirmed its commitment to continue supporting in its quest for economic prosperity and well-being for its people. The meeting laid the foundations for fruitful future collaboration between the two parties, strengthening the ties between Djibouti and FADES for the benefit of the nations and its people. Also in Marrakesh, the Djibouti delegation met with the World Bank Group, IFC, International Finance Corporation team, led by the IFC Vice President for the MENA region, Mr. Sergio Pimontage. Discussions focused on several key points, including the implementation plan for the recommendations of the Djibouti private sector's diagnostic report. The report examines the challenges and opportunities related to private sector development and identifies the reforms needed to foster the country's economic transformation aligned with the Djibouti government's Vision 2035. This vision aims to stimulate growth and improve citizens' quality of life by focusing on private investment and Djibouti's geostrategic position. IFC is committed to supporting Djibouti in achieving these ambitious goals by working closely with the government and private sector players. The Djibouti delegation also expressed its interest in the development of the health sectors with a focus on best practices, risks, and conditions for success. IFCC is committed to providing support and advice in these areas. Under the chairmanship of the Honorable Charmake Moussa Arwe, the Finance, General Economies and Planning Commissioners meet on Thursday, October 12, to examine the bill number 120E and 239L, which concern the approval of the financial account of the National Agency for State Information System, ANSI, for the year 2022. The meeting brought together a diverse assembly of parliamentarians, both members and non-members of the Finance Committee, to enrich the discussions. Mr. Almis Mohamed Abdullahi, Secretary General of the Government, the General Director of ANSI, and the accounting officers of this establishment were also present. The atmosphere at this meeting was electric, marked by lively and constructive exchanges. After a thorough examination of ANSI's financial accounts for 2022, the commissioners issued a favorable opinion. They reached these decisions after in-depth dialogue, taking into account the various financial and economic aspects linked to the national agency. Now that the favorable opinion has been issued, this financial account will be forwarded for adoption at the public sessions of the National Assembly. This is an essential step in the process of approving these accounts, which are of crucial importance for the transparent and efficient management of ANSI's resources. under the leadership of Honorable Kaltoum Farah Saeed. The Legislation, General Administration and Human Rights Commission is enlarged in collaboration with the Foreign Affairs Commission meet on Thursday, October 12 to begin considerations of the draft law number 019 EN 23/9L on the digital code. This meeting was a significant event bringing together members of the commissions as well as other interested elected representatives. It was also attended by a number of the notable personalities, including Mariam Hamadou Ali, Minister of Delegate in charge of Digital Economy and Innovation, His Excellency Ali Hassan Badoun, the Minister of Justice, and Qasim Harun Ali, Minister Delegate in charge of Decentralization, temporarily acting as Minister of Interior. After a fruitful preliminary discussions, the Commission announced its intention to continue analyzing the digital code as early as next week. The crucial steps testifies to the legislators' commitment to regulating and promoting the digital environment while ensuring respect for citizens' fundamental rights. The digital code is of growing importance in an increasingly connected world, and its scrutiny by the Commission reflects that the attention is paid to the challenges of information technology and the protections of human rights in this digital space. Late yesterday morning, the Institute of Diplomatic Studies held the closing ceremony of a major event, a cycle of high-level seminars and conferences focusing on regional integration. During these 5 days of seminar and exchanges of experience, the expert Dr. Marco Riccieri and Dr. Abdulqadir Hussein Mohammed led the seminars and shared their experiences with participants. They discussed multilateralism and regionalism and the changes taking place on the international scene and the constructions of a new world order in the light of regional integration in order to raise awareness and influence political orientations on this theme. These challenges, these trainings seminar provided the cognitive elements needed to understand the novelty and the scale of the processes of change taking place in international multilateral balances with the affirmations of a new regional, continental and subcontinental coordination promoted by states and by the main development players. The main formal and informal coordination set up and operating on the African continent are also illustrated, commented on, evaluated during these 5 days of intense, fascinating training. In his speech, the director of the Institute of Diplomatic Studies, Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa, asserted that the European Union sees an essential link in strengthening regional integration policy. The commitment and efforts made by the participants during the seminar were rewarded with certificate and ended with the traditional family for presence of the officials present and the organizers. The Arta Geophysical Observatory recorded a weak earthquake of magnitude 4.0 on the Richter scale on Friday, October 13, 2023 at the 1 p.m. Local times in the Gulf of Tajarrah, identified as a volcanotectonic event. The epicenter was located 18 kilometers north of Djibouti City at a depth of 7.0 kilometers, giving a hypocentral distance of around 21 kilometers. Macroseismic intensity in the areas closest to the epicenter was 4 and 5, weakly felt in the areas closest to the epicenter. IGAD organized an evaluation workshop on the implementation of the Djibouti Declaration on the Education of Refugee Children. The national consultation, which took place in Arta, was attended by governments and partner agencies. On behalf of IGAD Executive Secretary, Ms. Fathia Alwan, Director of the Health and Social Development Division, opened the sessions. She stressed that IGAD, in consultation with experts from member states and its partners, will continue to work to develop a regional commitment based on the lesson of recent years. She also recalled that since its adoption, the Djibouti Declaration has been a resounding success, largely reflecting the unwavering support we continue to receive from our valued partners. A large delegation led by the European Union Ambassador Sylvie Tabisse recently visited the Markazi refugee site in Obok. The visit is part of the support for refugee and host communities in Djibouti project, which is funded by European Union to the tune of 5.5 million euro. The delegation was accompanied by the first consular of the French embassy, the UNHCR representative, and the local authorities of Obok. The European Union funded project has three major components. Firstly, it aims to raise awareness of the legal framework among key players. Secondly, it aims to improve access to education. And thirdly, it aims to strengthen the livelihoods of refugee and host communities. These three components contribute to the Republic of Djibouti's effort to implement the comprehensive refugee response framework, whose main objective is to concretize the socio-economic integrations of refugees into the national programs, including access to social protections and education. With regard to the first components, raising awareness of the legal framework among key players, a total of 42 awareness-raising sessions were organized in Djibouti City, Ali Adde, Holhol, and Obok. After Guaidi Towers of the Obok Refugee Center, the delegation led by Her Excellency Sylvie Tabisi and her team had a working and exchanges meeting with the local officials and those in charge of the centers. At the outset, the European Union Ambassador thanked the people of Obok for the welcomes and hospitality extended to her delegation. Discussions focused on the various projects carried out under the EU-funded support for refugee and host communities in Djibouti project. The main objective is to concretely translate the socio-economic integrations of refugees into the national programs, including access to social protection and education. For the international scene, Sudan GDP set to contract by more than 80 within its economies at half mast. Sudan's financial outlook is not looking good. According to the International Monetary Fund, the country's GDP is set to contract by over 18% this year. The cause lies in the fighting that has been going on for over 6 months. The fighting, which is concentrated in the capital Khartoum, and a number of other towns, has claimed more than 9,000 lives and displaced more than 5 million people. As a result, Sudan is running in slow motion with the numerous shortage salaries that have not been paid for months, and a banking system that has been badly affected by the violence. Yet the country has no shortage of resources. In particular, it is Africa's third largest gold producer, but sales of this precious material have ground to a halt. This deprives Sudan of its primary sources of foreign currency incomes. Agriculture, which accounts for almost 14% of GDP and 18% of jobs, has also been hard hit. The war in Palestine has cast a shadow over the annual meeting of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank in Morocco, darkening the outlook for an already sluggish global economy. For the first time in 20 years, the world's lenders are holding their meeting, which brings together the world finance ministers and central banks in an Arab country. The conflict, which erupted last Saturday, has raised concern about its potential impact on the global economy. At a press conference in Marrakesh, International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva declared that the International Monetary Fund was following very closely the evolutions of the situations and its impact on oil market. She added that it was too early to assess the impact of the conflict, but that it was a new cloud of a horizon that is not the sunniest for the global economy, a new cloud darkening that horizon. And this is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.